Hey y'all, hope everybody's having an awesome day. Unplug the Matrix here, Kim and Val, bringing you some inspiring information on how to reclaim your life and get away from the program system that we've all been in. We have an acronym here for Unplug the Matrix as wealth. And if you've ever heard health is wealth, it's way more than that, you guys. Wealth to us, we are warriors for freedom, empowering abundance, love, thinking for yourself, healing your health, and just finding ways to detach from a life that you've always been programmed to know. So today we want to talk to you guys about being toxic. I lived a life of being toxic, and I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea that the way that I was showing up every day, mind you, I was very proud of thinking I was doing the right things, was all of the reasons why I was feeling the way that I was. And the lifestyle that I was carrying was easily changed. It wasn't an overnight fix. It was a lifestyle of things. And that's one thing that we really share very, very much of our hearts here because of our experience and how our toxic life led us to this life of healing. So Kim's on with me today. Hi, Kim. Tell them a little bit about, you had a toxic life too.
Yeah. So toxic, again, words have meaning and power, and Val and I talk about that all the time, right? Because they do. And so it's really important that we're mindful of what we speak, because there's life and death in the tongue. And when when I was growing up, I was always told that phrase, well, it's just that way, or it's just this way. And that immediately is just like playing that victim, right? And I realized going through my spiritual awakening in 2015, just desperate to heal my son from being toxic, from this. I can't say it.
The thing. I love it when you do your little
yeah, this there we go. I number one, I was just indoctrinated all over the place, but I just remember thinking, man, I'm tired of being a victim. I'm tired of being told that there's always only one solution. That's kind of where everything started to really unwind for me, was when I was just like, why does it feel like there's always a they create the problem and then there's the solution? But the second that you start to question things for yourself, or you think that maybe there's a better solution to what the society or the system or the indoctrination or the status quo, it's all in that umbrella, that box, right? That the second that you start to think outside of it, you're immediately like shunned, right? Your doctor talks down to you. Maybe your parents think you're crazy. Maybe your friends are like, I know nothing of that. Well, that just leads me back to a very dysfunctional and toxic society, right? Because the majority of people, if you look at statistics, we have 1 in 3 children with chronic illnesses. Okay. That's a very alarming statistic. I think it's 1 in 42. And, it's been a minute since I've looked at the statistics, but like diagnosis with a cognitive function in children with, autism and ADHD, my children being those children. And actually me and my siblings as well. So why is it that we have to have this label or this diagnosis when really the root of all of that, there's a cause, right? When the body is speaking in disease, there's already a check engine light coming on, and you're not taught to observe your body and to know that you're toxic. I was born toxic. I was born with chronic migraines, started having chronic migraines at 4 or 5. UTI infections, 60 to be recorded in a matter of 4 years, actually. I was in and out of the doctor's office on antibiotics. And I know Val's story is probably, quite similar with being on the multiple medications and stuff. But I don't even want to necessarily go down that rabbit hole, because it's a whole bunch of things that led my body to being toxic, right? But never looking at the root of what.
You're still there.
Okay. Sorry. Looking at the root of why my body was toxic, because the society we live in says there's not a root. Here's a medication, here's a label, and go on your way, right? And I was born into a family where cancer runs very rampant, autoimmune diseases, just lots and lots of health issues. And so for me, I just thought that was normal, right? It was normal until I started critically thinking for myself and asking those questions. That I was just about to get there, but that graphic that Val put up there is a is an awesome graphic because it lets you know that in order for you to take back your power and have better health, you have to address the fact that you have been taught wrong, right? That we have collectively taught wrong. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. My phone is just blowing. And it is my son. So if it continues to blow up, I may have to take this call.
Yeah, I might need to.
Okay, you talk to them and yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even realize that I was sharing my screen when we first started the video. So I'm like, oh, all right. So here we are. And I pulled that up, the society that keeps cures a secret so they can continue to sell medication for huge profits is not a society, but a huge mental asylum. I had to learn my way through that and understand, what that really meant. I was living, in my toxic life. I was taking medications. I started taking medications early in my teens. I started taking antibiotics every day for cystic acne. It was something that my dermatologist said would help. I was having a lot of problems with, family issues. My dad passed, and I got into drugs and alcohol and all the bad ways of, the evil lifestyle that I was living. And, so I started taking antidepressants and anxiety medicines and sleeping pills. And then I started, trying to just self-medicate with the drinking and the drugs, and it all screwed up my head. And I broke free of that, the drugs and the alcohol, but I didn't even realize that the prescriptions were still the same, in terms of how it was affecting my mindset and how it was showing up, how it was keeping me sick. Every time I had a scratch or a bruise or a cough, I was going to the doctor. And if I left there without an antibiotic or, a steroid, which is, same thing when you take your pets in, they're like, well, we don't know what's wrong. Okay, well, if you don't know what's wrong, you shouldn't prescribe me anything. That's what I was like, hold on a second. So every time you go, it's an antibiotic, it's a pain med, and it's a steroid. That's just like across the board, kids, adults, animals, it's just what they do. So I was prednisone, I had asthma, I was constantly with chronic bronchitis. Guys, my bronchitis was so bad that I coughed so much, I ruptured the disc in my back. And that's really what started my spiral. I got bit by a cat. I ended up going and getting some shots for that, 3 times in the antibiotic or the emergency room for that. And my body started to just break down. And I didn't put all of the nuggets together until I was bedridden and I couldn't brush my hair. I couldn't even go to the bathroom on my own. And every single appointment that I went to, I had this feeling like this doctor is going to be the one. So 20 doctors plus later in a year's time, prescription. Sometimes the pharmacist would have to send my husband home with a note and saying, hey, listen, I know the doctor gave you this, but you can't take this with this. So you got to figure out. And I'm like, I told my doctor what meds I was on, and yet they still prescribed me something that would make me sick. So I didn't even realize these concoctions, handfuls all day long, was doing to my body. I wrecked my gut health with the antibiotics. I've had 17 surgeries, and a lot of those had to do with skin infections that would flare up, and I would get abscesses and I would need them drained. And I had 5 breast surgeries from situations and hormonal problems. And I took all the things that the doctors told me would make me feel better. And then my girlfriend was like, hey, you know what? That probably isn't the right mindset for you to have, thinking that the doctor. And I was like, what do you know, basically? And I was cold and short because and I've gone back and read the messages that I had with her in the beginning. And I'm like, she came from a place of love and knowing what this system had been doing to me. And I was clueless about it. I'm like, well, I went to culinary school. I eat good food. I took nutrition classes. I know how to treat my body. Like I said in the beginning, I was proud of how I was showing up. I drank Ensures every single day because on the label, it showed that there's 40 vitamins in it. It's not even real food. It's awful, but they gave it to my dad in the hospital. So I thought it meant that it was good, and it's bad. It's sugar, it's fructose. It's just, it's awful. But my doctors never told me, you should be eating real food, Val. You should stop drinking those things. You cannot supplement your way out of a bad diet. But I was just making my body and my gut health worse. I didn't understand leaky gut. I didn't understand that my brain and my gut talk to each other. So by way of the disruption in my gut, My anxiety was bad. I couldn't get in the car without having a brown bag, hyperventilating. Jason carried me in the house. My depression, you know, was all the things, because there is that connection of the gut brain. They talk to each other. So when people say, well, I have depression, what are you eating? I have anxiety. What are you eating? I have skin problems. What are you eating? Are you using shampoo that has parabens and sulfates, and it's right in your brain and it goes down your body, and now you're standing in it in the shower and your body's absorbing it in 26 seconds? Hormone disruptors. Do you have candles that are Glade plugins, and you know, all the things? Are you cleaning your house with Fabuloso? I was doing all those things, and because I was so sick all the time, I was addicted to hand sanitizer, the wipes, the Lysol. I sprayed everything all the time, myself included. I was always, that's awful. And it's something that our system has created us to feel, especially with this thing that's been going on for the past 2 years, making us feel like we need to be afraid of germs. We need to be afraid of people and viruses and colds and stuff like that. And that is so wrong.
They create the problem and offer the solution.
Yep.
And one of the, as you were talking about all that stuff, like one of the things I wrote down is, you know, in our mentorship group, we have the toxin calculator, because here's what you need to understand. When the body is toxic, you are already speaking in disease. So when the body is toxic, we need to then look at what is making us sick. And we will always go back. When someone wants my help, you know what I say immediately? I say, what's your diet like? I eat crap foods, and I live the sad American standard diet. I have a sedentary lifestyle. I sit on the couch all day. I don't do anything. Okay, well, let me know when you're ready to adopt a nutrient-dense diet, food lifestyle, not a diet, but eating for you to live. Then I'm ready to talk with you. And so many people struggle with that. So, if you want to put it back up, you sure can. The calculator, like I like to tell people, is here's what happens. You've been lied to. Your body is designed to heal. It is absolutely designed to heal. But the system and the umbrella that you currently live under is doing everything that it possibly can to keep that body suppressed, oppressed, and you oppressed. And if you are oppressed, then you are not your powerful being who is created in God's image, number one. So there is a reason why we live in a toxic soup that is keeping your body suppressed and oppressed. So when we're talking about this calculator, I like to tell people, look at your lifestyle. Number one, the foods you eat, dairy and gluten and sugar, which is glorified in the United States, the sad American diet.
Breakfast, sugar for breakfast, dessert for breakfast, bagels, donuts, that's cake for breakfast, cereals, it's all.
And sugar kills your cells. Sugar is what cancer feeds off of, okay? So if you are born toxic, look at it this way. If you are born toxic, you already have cells that are working against you, right? So if you don't manage stress well, and you have the sad American standard diet, and you have emotional trauma, that's what we call the toxin calculator stacking load. So you have to get to a point where you number one, start with the nutrition. If the nutrition is not right, the body will never heal. And that's a self-sabotage thing. You have to get to a point, which, by the way, food and me were like, food was the only thing I could control in my chaotic world. So for me, it was a comfort thing. So I always went to the sugar and the carbs and all the processed stuff. But I had to get to a point where I changed my mindset, where I looked at food as a living for me to be a better version of myself, really. And so when I got to that place with food, I was able to heal that relationship. But the thing that the system and doctors and nurses, so we're never putting doctors and nurses in a box. We know that they go to school and to do the thing because they want to serve, right? But we are only taught what they want us to learn, okay? I went to nursing school, nursing dropout, but needless to say, I still worked as a medical assistant, LPN. So I never once learned anything about nutrition, never learned anything about how my microbiome works. I never learned anything other than you just do these things when people need them because they're sick. So there was never the talk about prevention, right? Preventative medicine. You're not going to find that in the allopathic model. You're going to find sick care where it's being labeled and then you're being treated. And so when people come to me, the one thing that we always talk about is your body can heal. And it will heal itself, but it's up to you in order to do that. So you have to remove, restore, and seal. Your whole body, your cells, your gut, everything that you're putting in your body has got to be sealed, right? So the calculator that I'm talking about, and I'm not going to like go into all of it, but like Val was saying, the products you put on your body, which by the way, all the stuff you buy at Walmart and Kroger and all those places are, again, it's quality. Quality is very important in this conversation because the supplements you put in your body, the products you put in your body, what you clean with, it all matters because 9 times out of 10, those cheap, inexpensive products are actually the key to your death. I'm just being honest.
They are, yeah.
And we live in a society, and this is something that really needs to be talked about. We live in a society where the system, you have all of these companies that are a monopoly and a monopoly. So you have these big corporations that own all these little companies. And when you buy from them, they're all really off each other. So they're not looking out for your best interests. And then you have all of these organic labeled things in the stores that actually 9 times out of 10 aren't serving you anyways. So you have to become a person who is ready to be knowledgeable. And that's a whole nother issue, right? To seek wisdom. The Bible tells us a fool will not seek wisdom. So being able to always educate your mind and be ahead of honestly the curve, because the world you live in is profiting off of your ignorance, is keeping you sick off your ignorance. And when you start to step in the arena and play in the fire and use your voice and critically think and push back against the system, you are going to get labeled. That is just the way our society. So the one thing I want to reiterate is if this is you and your body's speaking in disease, allergies, IBS, ear infections, autoimmune, weight gain, skin problems, cognitive functions, anxiety, autism, ADHD, all of those things, it's because the body is a whole environment. And when it's not in alignment as a whole environment, then the body will speak in disease. So if the body is speaking in disease, then you have to restore what's going on, right? And you're not going to find that when you go to your doctor. You're just not going to find that. Val, did you have any slides you wanted to pull up? Because I saw them start to pop up, but then
yeah, just, I mean, some of these things like, facts tell, stories sell, they have all these things, and sometimes people just don't hear what it is. And I've got cartoons that, sometimes I can find out how somebody's best way of learning is. And sometimes just a graphic to me just tells a story. And when I talk about, cellular damage, getting to the root cause, we're so conditioned to treat a symptom. Oh, you have an itch, take a Benadryl. Oh, you have a sore throat. Oh, you can't sleep, take a sleeping pill. Like all these things are just symptoms, but you got to remember your body is only telling you so many things by way of symptoms. It's an alarm. It's their way of showing you like, hey, I need some attention over here. So when you go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, this will help you feel better, and they give you a fix, it's not a solution. It's just something that suppresses it. And then guess what happens? Your body still has the problem and it pops up somewhere else with another symptom telling you, hey, something needs to happen here. And it's the formation of free radical damage. And it comes from all the things. You exercise too hard. You don't sleep right. You got the fluorides in the water and the GMOs. And you guys, if you don't understand like how important it is for GMOs to not be part of your diet, if you understand, maybe you don't even understand at all, antibiotics harm your good bacteria in your gut. And we are made up of very little human DNA. We're made up of microbes and fungi and viruses and all these things. And that's how our body operates. So we have to feed the good bacteria, things like prebiotics, probiotics. And when you're taking antibiotics, you're killing all the things in your body. GMOs are antibiotics. They were made that way. If you look at any of the studies, they are antibiotics. So everything that you're eating is disrupting your gut health. So that causes a lot of problems. The pollution in the air, if you guys ever look outside and you see this, the designs in the sky, that's them putting stuff around, that's chemicals. The EMFs, the Wi-Fi, the 5G, these are things that we can constantly go on and tell you, you don't have control of those things. It's part of the system. It's part of the way that they've created to keep us in alignment of going to the doctors. Big Pharma has a solution. We watch the TVs, we just, it's part of the system. It's the matrix. So these things that form these free radicals in your body, if you're not doing something to combat that, then it's creating disease in the body, it's creating symptoms, and you have to have root cause solutions, you know, to address the actual problem. And that was what helped me. If I could bring up, I have a little short video. If you guys want to see it, let me know and I'll send it to you. It's like 2 minutes long, but it's just me and my health portal from just one doctor that's just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling all my diagnoses, and the majority of them is something itis. Itis means inflammation. And as soon as I started addressing inflammation, my body was like, hey, guess what? You can heal. Hey, guess what? You know, your body has the abilities. If you're tired, if you have allergies, weight gain, brain fog, all that stuff, it's inflammation in your body. It's created a lot by the oxidative stress, which is created by the evil worldly things, even stress. You know, it's not necessarily a toxin that you're putting in your mouth or putting on your skin or breathing, but the things like, you know, Kim and I talk a lot in mentorship about mindset and generational traumas and the strongholds and the evil ways of the world of what we've been, what we all go through. And I know that the list would go on and on and on if we decided that we wanted to talk about it. But I think you can understand we do these things unintentionally and intentionally. So you have to make the sacrifices to stand up and say, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be informed. I want to give my kids and my pets a better life. And I say this, and people have said, I've had arguments with people about this when I say it doesn't cost anything to make better choices. Well, Val, you say that, but it costs me money for this other product. Or so stop buying this product and get this one, or stop using that one altogether and eliminate that thing, the makeup or whatever it is. That when I went through, I went through the Think Dirty app and I started scanning all the things in my bathroom and in my kitchen and my laundry detergent. And we live so frugally now. We live minimally. I only clean with white vinegar and colloidal silver. There's nothing in there that has any toxins in it. There's nothing I'm cleaning my floor with, and my dogs and cats are, you know, disrupting their situation as well. I'm big into, you know, animal care. Kim's big into the care of children, because that's what we've practiced. And that's really, besides our own journey, what led us to going deeper, because you got to just be informed. And mentorship for me has brought me so many gifts of people that's how I found Kim. I was watching somebody else's video. She had Kim on and she was talking about candida and she was talking about her kids and her gut health. And I was like, she's speaking my language, you know, like I really wanted to know what else she was talking about, because I was in such a hurry to better myself. It took me a long time. I just celebrated 5 years yesterday of like my first day. I got chills. Of my first day of taking the step to better myself. And it was just one little yellow pill that's made up of 5 herbs that, you know, it has more science on it than pretty much anything else on the planet. And that was my way of going, okay. And it started waking me up to the things that I was able to choose and the things that I'm not able to choose. And maybe I can't choose that there's Wi-Fi or, you know, there's GMOs in maybe I can't choose that, but I can choose the things that I'm doing to combat those things, and knowing that I can make these choices to eliminate, you know, it's really elimination.
And the root of that, I have to cut in here. The root of that is becoming the hero of your own life, who God created you to be, which is why we are warriors for freedom, because God gave us liberty and freedom. And at the end of the day, guys, the system that we live under wants you to be stuck in that victim mindset, that there's not a way. You always have a choice. You have free will. But when you start to adopt a hero mindset, right, because it's everything in your life is a mindset. But when you start to adopt a hero mindset, which, by the way, takes a lot courage, and I say, put on your God courage, put on your armor of God, and you know, your peace, your salvation, the Holy Spirit. When you start fighting back again, first of all, let's wake up. If you can say, hey, okay, they're onto something, well, here you go, I'm giving you permission to wake up. And if you can get there and you say, things just don't make sense, that's where you can start to unravel, peel back the layers, ask questions, and learn truth, right? Gain that wisdom, like you're talking about. And I'm on 5 years as well. So we're kind of, Val and I are really kind of on the same journey. And it's just, it's incredible because we both kind of hit our rock bottom where we were broken, and we were playing the victim mindset, and we thought that, you know, that was as good as it gets. But there was always that like inner knowing that I just was like, really, like, are you sure about that? You know, kind of thing. And I think that's your inner hero, inner warrior. That's your God wisdom that's saying there is truth, right? And truth is in the journey of seeking wisdom. That is why, you know, in our mentorship group, why Val and I have always had mentors after mentors after mentors, because we're seeking wisdom. You're not going to find that wisdom unless you are, you know, you are going to find that wisdom. You can read all the books, you can do all the things, but having a mentor can help you go a lot faster because they've cut some of those corners.
Yeah.
And my journey and Val's journey, that is why I have gotten to where I have so quickly. And people are like, you're not the same person. Nope. I've been relentless in my pursuit of healing, really. And so I want to give you guys 5 tips on what to avoid, and then a few things to think about, right? And then 5 major, like, I would say 4 or 5 major supplements that I personally use every single day, and I'll never stop using them. But then again, as I'm healing and I have things come up, I do change a bit of my supplement routine, but the ones that remain true and I never stop taking, I think is just super important. And Val and I really share that journey. So the things to avoid, number 1 is avoid the foods. We'll just say it again: cakes, pastas, sugar, the oils. Don't do it. Bagged, boxed, bottled, canned. Start growing your own food, start making your own foods.
White flour,
White flour,
rice, anything that's bleached, you know, those, not just gluten, you know, people think gluten is like trendy. Oh yeah, even me being a chef, you know, people, oh, gluten. I'm like, I learned it in culinary school, and people used to, like, when I would be making, people didn't know what gluten was. And it's a disruptor. We'll just leave it at that. You don't have to be celiac. You don't have to have like celiac in order for gluten to bother you. We'll just,
at the root of that, because glyphosate is an antibiotic.
yeah.
So we'll just leave it there. Why is that sprayed on everything? I don't know. And again, the soils are disrupted and depleted. So you are better to grow your own food or get the tower garden, another conversation for another day, but stay away from canola oil, vegetable oil, microwave foods. All of that is just killing your gut. The other ones, and then, so those are, and then dairy. Dairy has hormones, antibiotics. If you are going to have dairy, we've said this so many times, grass-fed, right? Or raw dairy. Very, very, very important. Now, the things to add in: bone broth, protein, collagen, coconut oils, avocado, probiotic foods, kimchi, kombucha. Be careful with kombucha. There's a lot of sugar in them. Kefir, things like that. I get my kefir from raw dairy, so it's really good. Clean protein. I eat a lot of clean protein. Grass-fed beef, wild caught salmon. Be very mindful of that. The stuff you buy at the supermarkets is not going to be wild caught and grass-fed. So you've got to be, really cautious of that. But we always have these links to where you can go to find the better things. So now the supplements. So the ones that I use every single day: colloidal silver. And guys, colloidal silver is everything you need in a bottle. I mean, it really is. It's anti-inflammatory. Do you have it all pulled up there? Okay, yeah. Cool. I can't really read it that well. My little eyes. Okay. So basically, is this saying what it all helps with? Acne?
Yeah, so it's the treatment of various conditions, pathogens. It's antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral. It's all it's silver can kill almost every single pathogen on the planet. And the things that it doesn't, the 5 or 6 that it doesn't, aren't things that would even alarm our health whatsoever. Like something that would tarnish your ring, those types of pathogens, they love silver, but that doesn't have anything to do with us. So whether or not, silver kills it or not doesn't make a difference. But when I discovered colloidal silver, I had absolutely no idea. My dog was sick and people started telling me about colloidal silver, and I was like, nah, I don't know about that. Now I brew it. I have some going. I got gallons. I got crazy amounts of colloidal silver because we use it for everything. But if you don't know about it, this, like she said, this is my number 2 of all the things that are must-haves. This is something you have. Peroxide, everybody knows about it. Everybody knows about baking soda and alcohol, and But why don't you have this as a Band-Aid in your medicine cabinet? I sell it cheap, I brew it, and I don't try to make a big profit off of it because I want people to have it. They need to have this in their arsenal for all the things. You scrape yourself, you have a scratchy throat, you've got pink eye, you got something going on with your dog or your cat. Like, yeah, it's.
And the beautiful thing about it is we're teaching you how to build your apothecary, meaning these things, like when you're adding all these supplements into your, not all, I don't want to say all these supplements because that can become a crazy train in itself, but these things that you can use in your everyday life, like she just said, for cleaning, for treating, all those things, you begin to actually, when you step into the space of healing and the holistic and the natural, you actually find out how much more money you save because there's a reason why the system wants you to like need all these things because it's consumer. We are a society, right? But when you start to realize that colloidal silver can be used for all these things and you can make it at home, you begin to see where you're cutting back on your, your crazy spending because this one thing is taking care of so many things. So we could talk about colloidal silver all day, but it really is, think about it, silver. It's God's creation. It's an amazing element. Okay.
And it used to be, I just want to say this, for a lot of people immediately get a fear. They're like, oh, I've seen something. I saw something on Dr. Phil or something. If you know anything about what they do on TV or the media, then you know these things are created. Before Big Pharma got involved and started creating their own synthetic lab-created antibiotics and medications, colloidal silver was used for everything. It's still used in countries all across the world. People eat off of silver plates. They do things because of what it does for their body. So don't automatically judge it based on something that you read about one time or something that you heard about, because I'm guaranteeing you with all of my might, you are wrong and you read the wrong information.
Well, you'll begin to learn when you break free from the matrix that the system, the media, they're always promoting fear, and they will promote only what they want to get a reaction out of the masses, right? So when you can stop thinking like the masses, you can begin to be like, oh, okay, well, you're predictive programming us once again, just like what we saw 2 days ago, the slap heard around the world. Boy, yeah. That was predictive. Okay, sorry, getting off topic. But the other number one that's probably above colloidal silver, but it was the first thing on my list, is NRF2. It's what Val and I, it's the little yellow pill. It's what Val and I both can attribute our big healing process, through our journey of healing, because that little amazing pill and the bioavailability, that is something you have to think about. Again, quality. When you go to Walmart and you go to Dillon's and you buy your supplements there, you are buying toxic supplements. You are buying stuff that is laced, that is filtered with all kinds of crap. So you have to remember, you have to buy quality, and quality is with a price, but you're actually cutting a lot corners because you're not putting in all the bad stuff. You're doing you're taking something that's doing what it's intended to do, right? So that's really important. It's potentially the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. And it is because they have amazing research, and if you want to know about it, let us know, but amazing research that proves that it can actually reduce oxidative stress by 40% in the first 30 days. So can you imagine Val and I being on it almost 5 years? Like, what are and again, I actually had a medical issue back in December, and they took my blood, and the doctor was like, for somebody who just lost all of this blood, they're like, because of what your blood looks like, you're not going to have a blood transfusion. And because I was so drugged up at first, I was like, okay, well, that's cool. And then I got home and I was like, I know where my blood
Yes, is. I know. I just got Hennessy, my dog, she's 15, and NRF2 is the studies on it. There's a lot of study. That's what got my attention. You can tell me it worked for somebody, XYZ, show me pictures, but the studies on PubMed, and I read and read and read, and that's what got my attention, was one thing that it does is it's been proven over anything else, and this is in Big Pharma's words because they did the study against their synthetic created product, is it is proven to extend life, right? So I've been without it before, not by the mail or whatever. I never stop ordering it, but I give it to my dogs every single day. And I just went last week. I got the lab work back from my dog and they were reading it to me. I had 7 texts come in. I took her for acupuncture and therapy yesterday. And again, all the texts came in. They just love her. And they're like, I can't believe this old lady's 15. And I'm like, yep, I give her her Nerf too. I'm constantly, constantly telling people about it. And it's not just because of what it did for me, but it's because of what it does, proven for every single mammal, not just if you're breathing and you're a mammal, this works for you. And it's proven over and over and over by study after study after study. It turns on your body's survival genes, it upregulates and downregulates your genes. And a lot of people think, oh, well, my dad or my mom was sick and it runs in my family. No, lifestyle runs in your family. It's the choices that you make. Genetics are only like 5% of what actually is happening. And so like when I go to my doctor and he's like, you got the blood work of an 18-year-old. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're a pro at how you do health, from the day that I showed up into his office so broken. And I'm like, I know, thank you. I only have to see my doctor now when I go in for my yearly physical and get my lab work. And I love him touting and telling me that I have the blood work of an 18-year-old. I'm like, yeah, because it's that little yellow pill. I mean, it's a lot of other things that I do right, but it is definitely the little yellow pill. And I will shout that until the cows come home, that as anybody that's being bombarded by these things, oxidative stress, like I have all the protection from like the Wi-Fi and the EMFs and all those things, but this is by way of my cellular health. It's targeting my cells and protecting my cells. So my cells aren't, manufacturing themselves to be bad and duplicating themselves bad. They're making better, good, clean. And for the study shows that 40% in the first 30 days and 70% or more of reduction of oxidative stress in 3 months. And you can't get that anywhere else. Sorry, Kim, I didn't mean to cut you off. I love my little yellow pill.
I think it's great to have open dialogue because, again, with our healing journeys, I'm still healing a lot of things. So I have a lot of cognitive functions and I can't always be as quick on my feet as Val is. I'll get there one day. But I'm still, and I'm always transparent about that. I'm still healing a lot of cognitive functions with my Lyme disease. And so sometimes I love that Val can just jump in because I'm not as quick on my feet as I used to be. And so that's good for me. The other one that I really want to share that I personally use, and then I'll let Val share hers because I'm sure she has different ones than me. With my digestive and gut issues, I still use fulvic humic acid every day. Now I'm taking a compounded one currently, but I will tell you, with majority of my clients, when they have gut issues and digestive problems, and which leads to parasites, that's another big root cause of all the scary diagnoses that we end up coming up with, which again has all been kind of by design, because remember, we're mammals. Your dogs, your horses, your cattle, they have to deworm. So do you. So if you have gut issues, like number one, if you have gut issues, you already have parasites. Let's just be honest. And if you're not getting rid of them and not actively getting rid of them, then it's very important. And that's one of the things I love about fulvic humic acid is it really hits that gut and it hits at the cellular level. So there's a lot of supplements that we take that we know for a fact, number one, bioavailability. So it's biohacking the body. Number two, it's hitting at the cellular level and it's doing the root cause. So you can spend all day taking a lot of supplements. And again, if your body is not absorbing nutrients, which majority of people, when their body is speaking in disease, you're not absorbing nutrients, you're not assimilating fat. And when you get to that state of disease, you have to take specific products that actually can get to the cells, right? Because the body's speaking in disease, so you're kind of fighting a bigger issue. And so it's really important to work with somebody who knows the difference, because when I started in my journey, I was taking a lot of things that weren't doing anything in my body. I was just making really expensive peace. So it's something really important to think about. It really is. And if you go and you look up fulvic humic acid, again, it's so natural. It comes from the earth and it just does incredible. I mean, it does incredible things in the body, and it really does. It touches the whole body in so many ways. It's great for cognitive function. It's great for getting those parasites, the cells, all the gut, especially.
Mineral deficiencies. We're all so deficient. I don't care if you only eat organic. if in the past 30 years, whatever's grown in that soil, you know, it's been depleted. So it depends on the farm that it's coming from. But the majority of all the things that we're eating, even by buying the best of the best, it's deficient. It's picked early. It doesn't have the good nutrients. And, you know, people are like, I take my vitamins. How often are people saying, I take these 70 trace minerals and I do this and those things come from the earth. Those things are natural. Those things are in fulvic. Fulvic and humic do a lot in the body.
So, you know, again, there's people who take certain minerals and all those things, and that's great, but this has all of them in it. So again, I'm a firm believer of working smarter, not harder. So that is why I take specific things that do specific and it hits target areas. The last one for me, and then I'll let Val maybe share one of hers. I'm a firm believer of iodine. And that just goes back to like so much of the system, and I can only say so much. But, you know, when there's fluoride in the water and we're doing this, what's happening is we're directly passing that blood-brain barrier. And I fully believe that society is on a spectrum at this point. And I know that is a bold statement to say, and we'll probably get some haters for it, and I welcome them because, again, let's get you thinking with a statement like that, right? But when we're talking about mineral deficiencies, we are so depleted in iodine, and iodine is such an important part and role in our bodies, and especially the pineal gland, right? So the pineal gland does all these wonderful things, and I cannot even think of what they all do. Maybe Val can pull it up, but the pineal gland actually helps regulate a lot of things in the body. It also is that connection to hearing our higher self, our creator, God. And so when we go back and we look at history, we begin to question, why are these things put in the fluoride, or why is fluoride put in the water system? And you look back at history and it's actually repeating itself. History always repeats itself. So this is one of my biggest arsenals. I'm a firm believer. And again, got to be careful what you take. This is, I think this
Lugol's is a very, very, very good brand. Like
Lugol's is the one I swear by. It's the one I've always used. And it's helped me tremendously. So I'm a big, that's probably my top ones as far as supplements.
I'm right there with you. The only thing else I would say is I am a firm user and believer that coconut oil has a gazillion uses. It's in my top 5. I cook with it. I wipe my dogs down with it. I use it in my hair, use it on my skin. I oil pull with it because the mouth is a microbiome as well. And yes, I don't have any bottom teeth. And I had a tumor, one of my many surgeries. And when they removed that out of my mouth, I had to heal my mouth. And it was like, they gave me all these things that the doctor used, these mouthwashes, which cause all these things. And I did it with coconut oil. And I went to the doctor and, you know, I had to wait, you know, 1.5 years before I could get anything put in my mouth. And he said, your mouth is healing really great. And I'm like, yeah. I said, oh, you're using that? I'm like, nope, using. He's like, oh, there's nothing good with that coconut oil. Nothing's ever come about. I'm like, okay, well, you keep believing that, and I'm going to keep doing the things that work. And you know, so there's so many things that coconut oil is good for, not just cooking with it. I put it in my tea. I don't drink coffee anymore because I learned about coffee. And another thing that is very important to me is vinegar. I use vinegar. The same thing. I have a mix that I use on the dogs and the cats that I wipe them down with every day, and we spray, and colloidal silver, and vinegar. In my laundry detergent, I use free and clear laundry detergent. All people are like, got to have all the fancy and stuff. All free and clear. It's inexpensive. It's very good quality, and it doesn't have any toxins in it, and it's cheap. So I don't use a fabric softener anymore. I use white vinegar, and I have wool balls. And if you want to get some fragrance in there, put a little essential oil, put it in the stuff that you spray on your floors in your house, get a diffuser. You don't need all these things that are creating a toxic environment for you, your family, your pets. So I use apple cider vinegar. I drink it. The dogs get it. The cats get it. They get it in their water. They get it in their food. The dogs and cats also get colloidal silver every single day. It is their water. They have regular water. They can drink as much as they want, and they will just drink as much as they want. So apple cider vinegar is, and white vinegar, any vinegar. I use balsamic vinegar. I use vinegar for all kinds of things. Nerve 2, probiotics and prebiotics to me are very, very important. It's one of the ways that I was able, and I was trying to eat the yogurt, which I don't do the dairy. And they said, well, you can have coconut yogurt. It's still, if you're trying to heal your gut and give your beneficial bacteria love and replenishment, and you're eating yogurt that has sugar in it, sugar feeds bad bacteria. It just doesn't make sense. But when you see the commercial, Activia, oh, it's going to do all these things. It's programming, it's labels, and it makes you believe that if you're doing these things and drinking these things and eating these things, just like Kim said with the kombucha, I was like, oh, I drink that, but it's loaded with sugar, or it has color in it. You know, you don't need polysorbate 80 and yellow number 5 in your pickles. You don't need to color that. You know, you can cut them up, make them your own, or just buy a better one. But those things are just added a little bit. And if you start reading your labels, you'll start seeing all these ingredients. You're like, why do I need that? Oh, I don't need that. You know, just minimalize everything within your life, whether it is how you're brushing your teeth, the shampoo that you're putting on your hair. When I changed that, my hair started growing back and my spots, you know, I stopped taking the medications. Guys, let me just show you one thing. We'll wrap it up here in a second, but I just want to show you guys what my life was like before I started taking the little yellow pill and was awakened to nature, basically. It's nutrigenomics. It's nature and science coming together and allowing your body to do what it was designed to do. But I have a video from the first time I shared my story, and I went through some of this, and I was on walkers, toilet seats, bath things. I could not take care of myself. I had all the patches for my arms and the lotions and the potions and the stuff because I had dry mouth and I had tendonitis in my hand, and I couldn't, you know, when I was going to culinary school, I had to try to cut and do everything with my left hand. Pain patches, like I did all these things, and I was just trying to show a friend one day about my story, and she just kept saying, I've tried all the things, Val. I know, I've tried all the things. I'm like, I thought I tried all the things too, and these things that are in that picture are the things that I tried, and I hadn't tried anything else. I was very closed-minded because I thought, like I said, I was very proud at how I was doing life because I thought I was informed. And if we can just stress to you, anything today is have an open mind and break free of what you think you know and go with the facts. And I'm not saying that everything that, you know, I'm saying you have to align with, or everything that Kim says you have to align with. But if you know that you're listening to this right now and you're finding some truth in what you're hearing, do yourself some justice, do your family some justice. I guarantee your life will change and you will benefit. That ache and pain, or I'm very awake all the time. I don't get tired often. And people are like, how do you run like that all the time, Val? Don't you ever get tired? Very rarely. I could go 2 days without sleep and run. And it's just, you know, but it's just because of the things that I'm putting in my body and in my mind. So
I'm going to let you wrap it up. I have to go get my son. That's why we do this. I have a freedom lifestyle. Wrap it up, and I have to go get my kid.
Yeah. So you're good? You're going?
Yes, I'm going.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Wrap it up with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So everything, you know, everything that we share, these are things that we share in our mentorship. And I have a lot of people that question me every day in my inbox, same with Kim, you know, and sometimes it's the same people because we have a lot of the same community asking us the same questions for help. And, you know, we teach cryptocurrency, NFTs, generational, you know, creating generational wealth, passive income opportunities. These are things that have allowed us to have this kind of lifestyle so we can pick the supplements that we want for our families, you know, or ourselves. But I look at all of the money that I spent and the comma, you know, that is in all of my debt from all of the surgeries and the doctors and the MRIs and all the things that they kept me in the system rolling and rolling and rolling around, not ever really truly healing myself. I didn't know. We don't know what we don't know. Don't beat yourself up for it, but don't let yourself stay stagnant either, because you're not doing yourself any justice from actually truly having your best life. So that's what we're about here with Unplug the Matrix. We do offer one-on-ones with people. We have the mentorship, which by far is the greatest thing that you can do by transformation. It's not an overnight fix. Taking the little yellow pill or using vinegar and that's it. Those things aren't going to truly change your life. overnight. It's got to be a lifestyle change. So we invite you to come and join us. You can learn about what kind of like soda. What soda should you drink if you want to drink soda? What kind of potato chips should you drink? Kim and I were just talking about, I was showing her the new one. Like, these are the best potato chips on the market. They have 3 ingredients in them, you know, potatoes, good oil, and salt. We were just, I make my own pickles. I was just feeding the dogs, and here's some pickles. I don't have dog treats. We have little carrots and cucumbers and stuff. And you know, my dogs eat raw, my cats eat raw, and it's not a lot of extra work. People think, I don't have time. I just want to pop a Stouffer's lasagna in the oven and just feed my kids, or chicken fingers and stuff. But then your kids are sick. And then, you know, like, it's just, you're spending all this money anyways, and you're going in a vicious circle. Nobody's healing. Everybody's, you know, I just say everybody's getting sicker. That's just, it's in my community. I see people just continuing to get sicker. People that started the journey with me, they're like, Val, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, I'm proud of me too. And you're still living the same lifestyle and being a victim. And you do not have to be a victim. We're here for you. We welcome you to join us. Learn the ways to live your best life and unplug from the matrix. You don't have to be this way. Thank you so much for your time today, guys. Much love to you. Sunshine magic all day in your life. Bye.